We're
Hey
on.
there, guys. How's it going? Welcome back to another episode of Business Flow with Sum and Joe. Today, we have a really interesting one for you guys. We've been looking at this basketball coach from Emeritus UCLA called John Wooden, and he has this amazing pyramid that we're going to share with you guys. And we thought we'd just riff on that idea for this whole podcast and just give you guys a lot of value today. Joe, what's happening, brother?
So let me share the pyramid here for just a second here. So this John Wooden, one of the things you got to say about John Wooden is he's like one of the most winningest, best basketball coaches in the history of college basketball. And people not only said he didn't really teach basketball, he taught life and he taught, fundamentals of living. And so this success philosophy is a very winning philosophy. We're going to cover, a lot of these points. So industriousness, friendship, loyalty, cooperation, enthusiasm, ambition, self-control, alertness, initiative, intentness, sincerity, adaptability, condition, skill, team spirit, honesty, resourcefulness, poise, confidence, reliability, fight, competitive greatness, integrity, faith, and patience. So, this is, it's basically, these are some things we can talk about, but what we're going to do unique about this is the business application from me. I'm the business guy, and the flow side of this from Sumedh. So why don't we just start off with this definition of success? Success is peace of mind attained only through satisfaction in knowing that the effort that you made the effort to do the best which you're capable. Sumedh, what comes up for you when you hear this definition of success? It's a different definition, right?
I actually love it because it really, pinpoints that idea of internal validation, where you don't really need this outside world to tell you that you're successful, right? Success isn't like a location or an event, right? It's a state of mind. And I think that's where he's really starting to share this philosophy. And we can understand that through this pyramid, the pyramid of success.
Yeah, I like that too. It's not external. Success is not a bank account number. It's not the size of that, but it's a piece. It's a piece, like, that peace of mind. What good is it to have all the wealth in the world to sell your soul and to have that misery? So what if you have all this stuff but you don't have peace? So
Yeah, I
like
think I heard Will Smith say that, peace over pleasure. And I really like that concept because on the road to success, a lot of people will chase that pleasure and then they get to that hubris and then they just crash right after that, right? And so I think when we get to that peace, it's like I'm fully fulfilled, right? And then from that full cup, you can create that flow state.
Yeah, and it's also like knowing that you made the best effort. Like it's not about attaining a certain thing, but if you wake up every day and you put your heart and soul into things and at the end of the day, I did the best I could, that's a successful day. But if you feel guilty, like, oh, I slept off too much, I set out to do these 5 things and I only got one of them done. I think it's good to know that you accomplished something, but like if you know that you did the best, if you sweated and you're bloody and even if you lose, like this is a basketball coach, even if they lost, success is the peace of mind knowing that we still did the best we could. If you do the best you could and you lost, there's still a success in that, and there's a peace of mind in that. Whether you win or lose, if you know you did the best, you can have that peace of mind. So I think that's really cool. So let's get started, okay? Industry, and let's talk about business flow with Sum and Joe. So I'm the business side, you're the flow side. Let's talk about industrious. I'll start real. There is no substitute for work. Worthwhile results come from hard work and careful planning. And being industrious, waking up every day, you make your list of to-dos, you prioritize by these are high priorities, these are low priorities. But I know that if hard work makes luck. I know that we need to put the effort in. And if we put the effort in, if we work, one of my mentors, a guy named Michael Levine, he's a big hot shot Hollywood publicist, Beverly Hills. And one of the things he used to say is if you work really, 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 really hard for a long, 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 long time, tomorrow can be better than today. And I think, when we're industrious, it'll help improve our business. And why don't you connect the dots on this with, how can industriousness help you with the flow?
This is such a synchronicity, Joe, because I have a poster up there by Thomas Edison, and it says the first portion of what you just said. It says, there's no substitute for hard work, right? There's nothing this is interesting how it links to the flow state, because the flow state is not easily replicable. It's like a very subjective experience for each individual. And so, yes, we can look at group flow and teams and things like this, and we can look at the patterns, but it is this very, subjective experience. So, the way that I transformed this word, hard work, to me implied difficult work, right? And so I had this thing against it, but then I started to look at the word hard meaning solid, like a rock. And so now I'm looking at the word hard as like solid work, like putting in your effort, like doing your best. And I think that's what industriousness is that, you feel that you've given it your all.
There's the old the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, whistle while you work. Just because you're working doesn't mean it needs to be painful. And Mary Poppins, there was this song, for everything that must be done, there is an element of fun. Find it, snap, the job is done. So hard work, it does not exclude fun and enjoyment, but it doesn't take energy to get into the flow state. You can't just sit on your butt and enter flow, movement.
Yeah, definitely. That's actually one of the biggest misconceptions, is that people think that the flow state is effortless, but think about how they got to that effortlessness, right? It was effort that first got them into that effortlessness. So people are actually missing that whole first portion of the struggle phase that allows you to actually let go and then get into the flow state.
That's cool. So number 2 is friendship. Friendship comes from mutual esteem, respect, and devotion. Like marriage, it must not be taken for granted, but requires joint effort. And Sumedh, you're my friend. You started off as a client, but you're my friend. And you know what? You can try and be successful on your own, but I learned, level 1 entrepreneurship is, if it is to be, it's up to me. And in order to do things right, you got to do it yourself. But isn't it joyful to have partners and relationships and people that you work with that are part of the team? And there's a friendship, there's a camaraderie. I think friendship, they say love doesn't make the world go round, but love makes the ride worthwhile. And I think it's just more worthwhile and it's more fulfilling in our businesses, in our lives, to do it with people that we enjoy. And I know that having, there's just friends that are not have to do with business, but having business friends and people you have joy and pleasure and happiness with, it just makes everything more fun and more worthwhile. And I think success without friendship is kind of empty and void. So I think friendship is, regular friends, business friends, I think it is definitely a building block to success. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm thinking about the flow state trigger for a group flow, and one of them is shared goals. So if you and your friends, you're sharing a goal together, man, that's so much fun, right? Because you're adding this synergy and this energy to the pot, and you guys can actually manifest faster because you're putting that much more energy into it, right? And so friendship is this amazing thing because there is this back and forth, right? There's this conversation, and that's usually what causes a lot of flow and energy exchange, right? Improvisation and thinking of great ideas on the spot and things like this. So I think friendship is definitely important in regards to pyramid of success.
and to flow, and to business success too. All right,
Yeah.
next one's loyalty. Loyalty to yourself and those depending upon you. Keep your self-respect. When I think of loyalty, a couple things come up for me. I have script lessons from the Christian lessons that aren't in the Bible directly. One of them is every Jesus is guaranteed at least one Judas. Okay. But I think loyalty is super important. Again, I'm going to go back to Michael Levine, and he used to say, one of the ways to instantly improve your life is to fire your flaky friends. If you got people you can depend on, there's that loyalty. I can depend on you and you can depend on me. That is so foundational. But how can you build a business and how can you build a life on people that don't do what they say they're going to do when they say they're going to do it, and they're not there for you? So I think loyalty is key. And you want to build a team where you're loyal to the team and the team is loyal to you, because it's really difficult to build a solid business without that loyalty. What do you have to say about loyalty and business flow?
Yeah. Yeah, it also reminds me of being a part of, a collective or a tribe or a company, right? You start to have this trust and this ability to show up together. And so I think that when that other people are depending on you, you're going to show up that much stronger. And that creates that loyalty, that bond. As one of my mentors, AZD, says, loyalty is royalty, and that ability to, keep your sense of sovereignty, your sense of okay, I'm not going to let my lower standards kind of rule me and make me deceive people and say things behind people's back. And there's a high level of value, right, that keeps us in that loyalty frequency almost, in a sense.
Yeah, loyalty is royalty. I like that. So the next one's cooperation. Cooperation with all levels of coworkers. Listen if you want to be heard. Be interested in finding the best way, not in having your own way. When I think of cooperation, I think of my karate sensei says harmony is the most precious element of our lives. What a brilliant, it's so true, man. Disharmony. And that's kind of an interesting thing to learn from a martial artist that, teaches you how to smack people, but when disharmony comes around, you might need to use a little disharmony to bring back the harmony. But I think that if you're not cooperating, you're kind of at battle, and if you are within cooperation, if you are within that harmony, then I do my part, you do your part, we're flowing, we're a team, we're making money together, we're serving clients together, we're making a difference together. I'm too blessed to be stressed. I'm too grateful to be hateful. I'm too anointed to be disappointed. Let's all work together. Let's have that common vision. And if we're all cooperating towards it, this flow of getting things done, it's like swimming with the river versus swimming against the river. I think that cooperation just makes the world a better place and the business a better place and the team function better. What do you think?
Yeah, it makes me think of this idea of interdependence, right? We need other people to thrive. And so, this idea of cooperation is this energy of collaboration, right? It's you're not in competition with anyone. You're not in this comparison trap anymore. You're sort of allowing yourself to get inspired by others rather than get jealous of others and things like this. So I think that, yeah, it definitely plays into, that flow state for sure.
Cool. So the next one on the pyramid is enthusiasm, entheos, God within. It brushes off upon those with whom you come in contact. You must truly enjoy what you're doing. When we're lit up, when we're passionate about what we're doing, when we're filled with the spirit, the spirit of God, the spirit of love, the spirit of good vibes, the spirit of good energy. It's contagious. It's good for our team. It's good for our clients. It's good for our prospects. It's good for our investors. It's good for our stakeholders. It's good for our vendors. It's like when you're enthusiastic, like you're a joy to be around. And if you're missing that, and I think it just makes for, it's a fundamental in building a better business. It's a fundamental for building a better life. And so, uh, what comes up for you around enthusiasm?
I love that word alchemy of the God within, and like enthusiasmos, right? Like to be possessed by God. Yeah, it's very interesting. I think that enthusiasm is one of those things that is trainable actually. Like you've got to recognize that there are certain things blocking your enthusiasm. Maybe you're staying somewhere where you don't like to be, maybe you're in like negative company and things like this, and that blocks your ability to tap into this enthusiasm, because I think enthusiasm is almost like the most purest of your expression, right? When you're tapped into that higher level passion. So yeah, getting rid of the enthusiasm blocks would be very recommended for people.
It's like your ego is not your amigo, and it's not just about me. There is a higher, and if you can get, there's my individual flow, but like if God is flowing through me, that enthusiasm, it's like you're not just coming about me, you're actually coming from a higher causal purpose. And enthusiasm, I think, is something that's a way to channel that. All right. We're moving up the pyramid now to the next level, to kicking it up to the next level, talking
Let's
about
go.
ambition.
Yeah.
Ambition, ambition for noble goals. And, I think, sometimes people mistake ambition, like, there's, Jim Rohn, he's got this whole course on ambition. I spent money on. It was a good course. And he says, ambition at the service of others is good, and ambition at the expense of others is like evil. But this, it's like an earnest and eager desire to do better. And the truth is if you don't have that desire to do better, how are you going to do good in your business? What do you have to say about ambition and how that increases the flow and the business?
Yeah, I think it's interesting what is written here. It says for noble goals. And I think that, to have that kind of nobility element for ambition, it's like, yeah, this is for my higher purpose. This ambition is is there to guide me towards what I truly wish to be in the future. And so it's a very future-based type of mentality, which I think a lot of people do miss out on, looking forward to something, like having a project plan that they're really working for. And that can give you a lot of extra energy. And that ambition energy, that masculine energy, I think a lot of people, yeah, they do miss out on that. But you're right. Yeah, it can't be at the expense of others. That's like shooting yourself into your own foot. Yeah.
Jim Rohn said that ambition, a day without ambition is you can spend a day at the beach. But if you live a life of ambition, you can own the beach.
I like that. Jim Rohn always has the great quotes. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So next on the list is self-control. And I think it's important to have self-control, to run a business, to run a life. Self-control, practicing self-discipline and keeping emotions under control. Good judgment and common sense are essential. I like that, good judgment. I think of we shouldn't judge others, but we should have good judgment. I heard that the biggest quote of non-believers of scriptures, is, thou shalt not judge others. But, the truth is the scriptures are full of judgment, and the scriptures, they even have books of judges, okay, in the scriptures. So, but we shouldn't judge others, but we should have good judgment for ourselves. We should have good self-control, making good decisions. And, it talks about keeping emotions under control. So self-control and emotional intelligence, like they're like highly connected. So what's coming up for you in terms of business flow and self-control?
Yeah, I think it plays directly to a person's self-esteem as well, right? Because if you have self-control, what are you saying to yourself? I have control over my mind, in a sense. I have control over my body. I have control over, these fleeting sensations. And so we are in such a world where we're so distracted with everything, right? We're overstimulated all the time. So if you can have self-control, you're really like, you're playing at a different level. You're playing at a completely different level in this attention economy.
It's funny because, in the dating process, you find women, it's like, let's be spontaneous. It's like, let's go run away. And it's like, no, I have like responsibility. I need to have the self-control to stick to my calendar and keep my appointments with the people. Like I can't just throw away my self-control because you want to be whimsical. I think there's a time when, okay, we got the weekend off, we can go and be spontaneous and go wherever the road goes or go off the road or whatever. But losing that self-control kind of throws a lot of things to the garbage can. So super important. Now the next one is alertness. Alertness is be observing constantly, stay open-minded, be eager to learn and improve. I think it's about presence. And if you want to build a big business, we need to be present. We need to be alert. We need to pay attention to what's going on. And quite honestly, in a global economy, I had a business and I made money, a lot of money in that business. And I wasn't picking up the signals that this hot technology was being replaced by another. And it cost me like $1.25 million to not really see all the signals and not be alert to what was going on. And so I think it's so important to pick up on all the signals. And some of the signals are very subtle. The promptings of the Holy Ghost are very subtle. The little nuance of communication is very subtle. And if we're not alert, if we're not paying attention, we can miss out on those key indicators. Even though it's a nuance indicator, it's an important indicator. And if we're not alert, if we're not present, we're going to miss out on opportunity. We're going to miss out on the dangers. It can really negatively, not having alertness can really negatively impact you, and having good alertness and presence, I think, can help you keep on top of your game. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it directly applies to the flow state for sure, because, the flow state is that sense of complete alertness, absorption into the present moment. And, I think this relaxed wakefulness, kind of mindful state of alertness allows us to look at our environment and know that we're safe, know that we're protected in a sense. In our hunter-gatherer societies, right? So you guys can actually try this in the audience if you just kind of close your eyes and move your eyes laterally. So left, right, left, right, left, right. And, the reason why this calms us down is because it actually releases the amygdala and calms us down, because, we're actually noticing, are there any animals here? Like they're there to kill me, right? And so we're checking to see if it's safe. And another thing is rain sounds. Like animals and predators don't hunt in the rain. So listening to rain sounds and just doing this with your eyes can really relax you and make you like this relaxed, alert version of you. And it's a really cool tip.
I like that. The next one on our list is initiative. You want to cultivate the ability to make decisions and think alone, and do not be afraid of failure, but learn from it. I heard this quote the other day. Your success as an entrepreneur depends on your ability to take action on the invisible. Okay, like your ability to take action on the ability, and that's called initiative. Like it's like, okay, I have this vision, I got this dream, I see something that could be of value to the marketplace. If I don't have the initiative, if I don't take action, like it, in a way, entrepreneurship and business is alchemy. We're creating something from nothing, creating a new business that didn't exist before. We have the idea this could change lives, but if we just keep it in the idea phase and we don't have the initiative to take action on the invisible, but when we take action on the invisible and we move it from invisible to visible, when we move our ideas from ethereal to material, from it's just in my head to like manifesting in real action, this is like, it's so fundamental with greatness. Steve Jobs, he talks about his secrets of life. There's a video you can find on YouTube, Steve Jobs Secrets of Life, and he talks about like a lot of people are like living their life like within these walls. Like we just kind of like don't want to bounce into the walls. Like we're trying to play safe. But that's one, it's like a real limited way of looking at the world. But when we start to discover, when we have the initiative to poke the world, something emerges somewhere else. And when we realize that we don't just have to live within the world, but we can actually impact the world and create within the world and manifest within the world, it's like it's a game changer. And so to me, initiative is so important because it's the difference between proactively changing and making stuff happen versus living kind of a life that is kind of like living in a box and it's kind of boring. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's like passive challenges that the universe gives us. Like, let's say we're stuck in traffic or something like that. Like, we can't really control that, that the universe has done its thing, but we can also take active challenges like showing up earlier, for instance, and not getting caught in traffic. So it's like we need our active challenges to override these passive challenges the universe gives us. And that's what this initiative is. It's that willingness to show up, I think, and to change things and like not just go with the status quo, but this ability to be a pioneer. But the pioneer gets hit with the most arrows. So you're going to have to take some initiative sometimes and just, go through the fire. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Next one's intentness, setting a realistic goal, concentrating on its achievement by resisting all temptations, and being determined and persistent. So, resisting the temptation. So, intention is, I was at a speech with Joe Vitale was talking. He wrote Spiritual Marketing, and he's very prolific, written a lot of things. And he talked about what's more powerful, a list of goals or a list of intentions. And like when you have a list of intentions, an intention is as if it's already done. I intend to do this. So it's like, it's as if it's already been done. And that's a little bit more powerful than a goal, which is a little bit on the static side. So this is my intention to do this. And we want to stay on purpose versus allowing us to be distracted by other things which are off purpose. And so I think it's so important to, if we're going to be successful in business, in life, that we set clear intentions that are going to keep us on that road to success. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I heard that from you once, Joe, right? Like intending is innertending or something like this. Like,
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was a great one. So, yeah, when we intend something, it's like we're taking care of what is within us, right? In a sense where, the time management is basically pain management, where we have to take care of, what's bothering us so that we have this sense of, an intent. An intention is like setting the boundaries on something. We're not usually good at that as codependent people, but, if you decide to look at them as carefrontations, not confrontations, right? It comes back to this ability to love and have care, but at the same time set intentions. You told me something, Joe, which is you can use love and hate in the same sentence, right? Like, I love what you're doing, but I dislike
I
that
love
behavior.
you.
Yeah,
I love you, but I hate the fact that you stole a candy bar.
exactly.
Yeah, it's super important.
Awesome.
Yeah, this idea of inner tending, in The Secret, the movie The Secret, they talk, law of attraction, they talk about putting your intentions out in the universe. But if what you're putting out isn't from this healed core, then it's not going to really attract what you need. But if you purify the source of what you're putting out into the universe, you're going to be much more, it's going to attract more of the things that you're intending and you're putting out. All right, the next one, is sincerity. And, sincerity, it says keeps friends, sincerity keeps friends. And I think of authenticity, but another thing I learned from Jim Rohn is, where does the word sincere come from? Most people don't know this, but sincere comes from Roman law. And in Rome, back in the day, they built all these buildings with marble. And sometimes the marble would have cracks in it, and they would take wax and fill the cracks with wax so that it looked like a solid piece of marble. And they passed a law in Rome that all marble is to be purchased sin sere, which means without wax. Okay, the word sincere literally comes from without wax, without falseness. And and so if you are coming from a sincere place, if you're coming from a pure place, you're not filling in with something false. This is how we build trust with people, is being straight with people all the time and not glossing stuff over. um, so what comes up for you around the importance of sincerity in success and business and flow?
Mhm. Wow, I didn't know that, Joe. That's really cool, actually. Yeah, you said without wax?
Yeah, all marble is to be purchased sincere without wax.
Wow, that's really cool. So yeah, I've noticed that, most people want a relationship that's sincere, right? Not fake. And I think that this ability to come from your truth is almost like, are you being gold or are you being gold plated, right? Are you protecting yourself with like all this armor and like, materialism and like, mental habits, or are you actually coming from your truth and your most authentic, free-flowing source? And I think that makes a huge difference, and people can sense it. That's the thing. So yeah, I think sincerity is just that honest expression, that ability to take responsibility of our own expression. I think that plays into it too, and the effect that it has.
I think we're doing amazing so far. We're covering a lot of territory. We've covered level 1 and level 2 of the success pyramid. Time to take it to the next level. We're at level 3. We're
Yeah.
talking about adaptability now, in any situation. When I think about adaptability, I think about flexibility. I think about resourcefulness. And one of the things I remember, Tom Hopkins one time, he said he was on an airplane and he saw how the wings were flexing. And they actually designed that flexing into the wings. And he thought, like, this is weird. These wings are flexing. But then the other thought he had is if they didn't flex, the forces would probably like snap the wings off and like you'd go into like we'd all die, right? And that flexibility is what keeps us alive. That flexibility is what keeps things in motion. And if you're rigid, you're not going to be able to have that adaptability. And so, at some level, we need to be like a chameleon, I think, and adapt to different situations. I know in sales, and it's like you need to speak into the listening of the person that you're there with. And when you speak to, if I talk to you, your business issues will be different than the next person's business issues. And so I need to be adaptable and flexible to not just be like some rigid sales script, like one size fits all, but to really be sensitive to who I'm in front of and to make sure that my communication is not a rigid sales script, but it's really flexible and meets the needs of the individuals that I'm with. And if I don't flex, I'm going to not do as well as if I have that adaptability and that flexibility. What's coming up for you?
Oh man, well, I gotta reference the man behind me, Bruce Lee,
Bruce Lee.
where he mentions that whole idea. I mean, that's kind of the whole philosophy of Be Like Water came from the idea of flexibility, of adaptability, and the ability that you become like a shapeshifter of your inner world. And I think that once we can be more tensile, so tensile is like when metal can bend, right? So it's like it's not too rigid, it's not too flimsy. It's like just the right amount that it can, it can change, it can morph, it can transform. It's interesting because the word trans means beyond. So transformation, is going beyond the form. So, in a sense, this word adaptability, we can understand it through maybe a Darwin a set of eyes, but I think it's cool to look at it like a metaphor, like water, and really study it. And as Vince said, water does not go back up the mountain. It's there. It's just in the present moment. It's constantly in the presence. So
I
yeah,
like that.
that's the adaptability.
Now, the next one, I think it's something that takes some work, and that's called conditioning, mental conditioning, moral conditioning, physical conditioning, rest, exercise, diet must be considered, moderation must be practiced, dissipation must be eliminated. Not sure what he means by dissipation must be eliminated, but you know, moderation is super important. We need to work out. We need to eat right. We need to keep our mind, body, spirit sharp. Um, I'm a very effective business coach, okay? And I'm not saying, yeah, but the reason why is because I've conditioned myself. I've done the dirty reps. I've done the 25,000 hours to develop my expertise. It says moderation must be practiced. I remember I had a friend who used to say moderation in all things, including moderation. And of course, that was his rationalization for binge drinking and partying and stuff. So I don't know if I necessarily agree with that,
Yeah.
but like, what good is it to build a business if you're in poor shape? What good is it if your mind is not there, your body's not there, your morality is not there? You don't. So I think it's important to get strong mentally, physically. There's a scripture. The mind is strong, the spirit is strong, but the flesh is weak. That's not good. And even in martial arts, it's like, the body is strong, but the mind is weak. So we need to condition our spirit to be strong. We need to condition our body to be strong, and we need to have that strong mentality. If you think your mind is strong, I'll tell you what: sit in a horse stance, drop into a squat, and stay there for 90 minutes. Okay, your body can handle it, but there's a mind. There's something in your mind that wants to quit. It wants to quit. It wants to quit, and um, you need to be in the condition that, like, when you're in a business situation and the tough times come around, you can't quit. You got to endure to complete what you said you were going to do. So I think conditioning is super important in success, because weak people just don't really survive in any aspect of life. What do you think?
Yeah, conditioning has become a lifestyle for me, I think, at this point, because, you know, in a sense, we're all conditioned to be a certain way and do certain things. Like society conditions us, parents condition us, teachers condition us, and we grow up with these certain beliefs, and they become core beliefs sometimes if they happen super young, right? So I think that, I wake up in the morning and I look at my ceiling, I pasted up there a smiley face. So that's the first thing that I see, and something just as simple and suggestible as that can affect my subconscious mind and condition me to greater success. And so I think that, we've got to understand how to condition ourselves and take back the remote control, right? We have to take back the remote control and basically, be the ones who change the channel.
Yeah, if we don't condition ourselves, the world will condition us. So are we going to allow outside conditions to affect us? Or are we going to get so strong that we condition the world, we shape our existence, versus letting the world shape us? We can shape our experience. I really like that. That's super important. All right, moving along the pyramid here. Skills that pay the bills. Okay, a knowledge of and the ability to properly and quickly execute the fundamentals. Be prepared, and cover every little detail. It's funny, he talks about the fundamentals. I know in karate, it's like, I can do a double spinning, helicopter kick. You don't need to learn that. You just, if you can execute one basic punch, good stance, good punch, vital point, strong spirit. It's not about fancy skills, but mastering basics and then building on the basics. Um, Skills can be learned, skills can be conditioned, skills can be strengthened. One of the things I've learned is, you can't learn from people who haven't done what you're trying to do. And so when it goes to mentors, we need to learn from the people that can teach us where we want to go, because we can't learn from the people. If you want to learn to be a millionaire, guess what? You're not going to learn it from, your broke friends and family. Okay. If you want to build a business, you're not going to learn it from people that have been employees their whole life. Okay, so so we need to learn the basics from people that can teach us the basics, and then we need to learn to execute on those basics and not overcomplicate it, because I believe that it's simple skills that why do people not make money? It's usually because they're overcomplicating things. They're not grounded in basics. The basic skills will pay your bills, and if you don't exercise the basic skills, then we can get really distracted and not have much success. What do you think about skill? What's coming up for you?
Yeah, I think if you have a high level of skill and not enough challenge, you're going to get bored in terms of the flow state model of the challenge skills ratio.
By the
So,
way, what are the skills to get into flow state? Just as an overview, and how does that apply to business?
mhm. Well, it really depends on the task. Something simple that anybody can do for any task is take 3 deep conscious breaths before they begin. So they don't have that mind chatter, right? So that's something really quick that anybody can apply right away. Just 3 deep belly breaths before you do something. It just makes you that much more tuned in to the moment. And, once you make it a habit, again, it's going to be much more in that unconscious competence, right? You're going to do it all the time. Your breathing rate is going to change. Your heart rate variability is going to change. So, yeah, that's really important. I think like the Buddhist doctrine of coming back to the breath and really, focusing on that. Because that's like the Google Translate for the body, right? It's like when you say to the body, calm down, everything's gonna be fine, right? It's like, what? Are you speaking Japanese or something? But then we start to breathe and the body goes, oh, he wants to relax now. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. All right, moving along the pyramid here, we're talking about team spirit and how that's one of the important pieces to success. And team spirit is a genuine consideration for others, an eagerness to sacrifice my personal interests of glory for the welfare of all. Um, this is something I see in business. I do this and I do this, or we do this and we do that. And it's like, there's no consideration that, here's how you'll be better off. It's about you, and it's like when you hire us, you'll be the beneficiary because we will work together to help you attain your objectives. And if you're selfish, you are going to actually find that your impact is scarce. But if you're generous, Jay Abraham, man, he always had some really brilliant thoughts. And he said the most selfish thing you can do for your own prosperity is be selfless. And that concern for others, when you actually care about others, when you pour into others, when you consider others, and you're willing to like set yourself aside to benefit others and let them have the glory, let them be the hero. Like the most selfish thing you can do is be selfless. And when you pour into others, others will pour into you. But if you're selfish and you don't have that team spirit, if you don't consider others, you really limit yourself. But when you do consider others and you pour into others as a massive contribution to others, it's amazing how you'll win the heart of others, and everybody will you'll attract others to you and your leadership, because it's not ego-based leadership, which isn't leadership at all. It's the true job of a leader is to be a supporter of others. It's not to enslave others or these are my people, they work for me. It's like your job is to put them on top of your company pyramid and support them, because when you support them, they will be successful, and that creates the overall success of the organization. What do you have to say about team spirit?
I'm almost getting this imagery of the inner critic transforming into an inner cheerleader. It's like, this example of like, okay, yeah, this negative self-talk in my head has gone, is being affected by my team because everybody else is inspired in spirit, right? That we're all uplifted. And I think that that's when team spirit can work, when everybody has just a positive attitude and they're bouncing ideas off of each other. And it's much easier to win together. If you want to go far, do it together, right? If you want to go fast, do it alone. But even the word alone, as AZD says, is all one. So you're all at one with yourself. You know, you're never alone. So yeah, that's a really powerful reframe.
I think there's a magical quote in there somewhere. Throw away your inner critic and replace it with an outer cheerleader or something like that. You know, it's, um, I
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
cool.
There's some, I like that. There's something. I think there's a whole course around that, right? All right. Next one on this level is honesty. Honesty in thoughts, honesty in actions. Everybody thinks they're honest, but they're not. Like, you know, I'm going to make, I'm going to help others make millions of dollars. Well, if it's an exaggeration, that's a form of exaggeration. It's a form of dishonesty. Exaggeration is a form of dishonesty. We all think we're honest, but how often did you download, some music off the internet, and not pay for it? It's not honest. Okay. So, we all need work on, getting more honest. Somebody says I'm broke or I don't have any money. Well, if you've got at least one penny, you're being dishonest to you. If you say that to me, you're being dishonest to me, but more important, you're being dishonest to yourself. We need to be great. I'm grateful for the 3 pennies I have, and I'm grateful for what I got, and I appreciate more is on the way. And and if you are broke or if you're struggling, I think being honest and getting in front of the mirror and say I'm broke, okay, and the truth will set you free. That might be the inspiration for you to get to the next level. So we can all be a little more honest with ourselves and with others. Dishonesty with others is a problem, but dishonesty with yourself is catastrophic, I think. And so what do you have to say about give me some transformational thoughts about honesty?
Let's sip on this honest tea. um, in a sense, Mark Manson says honesty is the best aphrodisiac. Honesty is the best policy. There's a lot of like quotes on honesty, but I think what makes a person honest is when they are owning their storyline. I think there's something about a person completely making their mess into their message that is so powerful in this success ladder. And I think when people can be more honest, there's this trust that just starts to build with the brand and everything else. And I noticed when I started to be way more honest with my content, more people started to, tune into it because I was being my truest self. I was not worried about, whether my parents would see this and, oh, I swear it on this one video or something, like all this judgment or whatever. Like I just stopped caring, after a while. And so that honesty, that pure expression is now being translated through a trust that people can actually see that, hey, yeah, this guy's speaking from the heart, right? He's not just making some stuff up. Like he's been through these experiences. So I think that, yeah, honesty is a really important thing for communication.
One more thing that's coming up for me around honesty is like not being a know-it-all. Like I'll help you with where I can, and if I can't help you, I'll say, I'll tell you, I can't help you with that. That's outside my expertise. Let me point you to some resources, or let me find the answers. So I think an honest thing to do is not only, here's what I know, but like saying this is what I don't know. I know, there's that whole Johari window. I know what I know, and I know what I don't know. There's what I think I know that I know, and then there's what you don't know that you don't know. And it's like, I know that I don't know how to perform brain surgery. Okay. That's and it's okay to admit this is outside of my area of expertise. And, actually one of the great ways to build trust is if somebody comes to you and says, hey, I'd like to hire you for this thing, and say, you know what, as much as I'd like to receive your money, it's like, I'm not the right guy. Let me send you over to this other person because they are an expert at that. They'll help you better than I can. And having that honesty to like not be the answer for everybody's problems, but actually sending people away actually builds trust. And so I think it's important to be honest, not only in the clear communication, but being honest about like, that's out. I'm not going to fake, trying to say I'm an expert at something that I'm truly not an expert at. All right, we've gone through 3 levels of the pyramid. Time to kick it up a notch to the next level. And so the next level is resourcefulness, proper judgment. And there's 2 things that come up for me around resourcefulness. The first one is like, what you lack in what you lack in resources, you can make up for in resourcefulness. I might not have the cash, but I can barter, I can trade, I can invent something, I can create an answer. So, a lot of people are so, I got blessed to learn some stuff from my mentor, Jay Abraham. And, he's got this course called Confessions of a Barter Baron. And, what's in your barter inventory? Do you have real estate? Do you have team? Do you got people? Do you got intellectual property? There's all kinds of resources that are beyond cash. And one of the things Jay used to always say is, I feel sorry for people that only have cash in their barter inventory. Like, there's so much more that you can bring to the table. So that's the first thing, is like, what you lack in resources, you can make up for in resourcefulness. It's like creativity, and like, we can solve so many problems if we're resourceful in a business. I made $1 million, I lost everything, I was underwater. It's through creativity that I continue to move forward. If I didn't have that creativity, I would have they would have buried me in a box a long time ago. But the other thing that comes up for me around resourcefulness is that TV show MacGyver, and it's like, oh, we can't get out of here. So it's like, let's make a bomb out of, some magnesium, or, it's like, let's turn this avocado pit into a projectile and knock out the bad guy, So I always think of that MacGyver is like this epitome of the resourceful person that, you never even see him pull out a wallet and use money, because he just invents solutions to every problem. He's so resourceful that the cash resources are kind of irrelevant. But how does resourcefulness play into flow and business from your point of view, Sumedh?
Wow, it's funny that you mentioned MacGyver, because, in flow state research, there's this thing called the MacGyver effect, where you do repetitive non-taxing activities, like things that are just kind of like a Rubik's Cube, or like going for a walk, or MacGyver always has these moments where he writes the problem down, then he goes to eat some pie or something like that, walks his dog, and then he comes back and he suddenly has this idea. So that kind of came from that whole show. And we as people, we can do this to tap into the state. It's almost like resourcefulness is a state changer, right? It allows you to go from one state to another, like from broke to rich, or from fit, like from overweight to very healthy. That there is a transformation happening through the resourcefulness, where you're looking for the solutions. And I think I once saw this incredible diagram where on one side it was slacking, like just complacency, laziness, just slacking. On the other side was perfectionism, which is like detail oriented, making sure everything is meticulous. And the combination of both of those worlds is that resourcefulness. So both of them have this ability to create procrastination, right? Like slacking creates procrastination, and perfectionism creates procrastination, because you're like, it's not perfect yet. But resourcefulness is the procrastination breaker, in the sense it allows you to actually move forward with what you do have. So that would be my 2 cents for that.
I'm stuck, but creativity will get me unstuck.
Yeah. Perfect.
Man, that's a course right there, getting unstuck with your creativity. I think there's something there. All right, next on the list is poise, just being yourself, being at ease in any situation. Never fighting yourself. It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it. Success is peace of mind, attained only through satisfaction, knowing you've made an effort to do your best. There's this poise. I heard something at a church talk this last weekend, talked about grace. Grace is an acronym, GRACE, and it's God's riches at Christ's expense. Like grace, okay? And so, I think of poise as like the opposite of drama. shit happens, you know, do we get dramatic about it? Oh my God, shit's happening. Or, you know, do we have that poise? Do we have that grace? It's like, okay, you know, it's like that story about, is it a good thing or a bad thing? It's like, maybe, you know, is it a good thing or a bad thing? Maybe. So poise, you probably have a lot more to say about poise. I think poise has a lot to, like, I think being in the flow state, there is a poise with that. Why don't you teach us what you know about poise?
I think that a great example of a man would be someone like Da Vinci, where he accumulated so much knowledge, you know. He had this ambidexterity, you know, he was fit. He was like the example of the polymath, right? So he's like the Renaissance man, like that is the kind of, you know, twist on the jack of all trades. It's like, no, he was making the jack of all trades work through his poise, because once you practice something so many times, you make it look easy, right? And this is what people think, oh, these ballet recitals, they're so beautiful. Yeah, they probably got, you know, stubbed toe a bunch of times, you know, came to rehearsal late, you know, we don't see all of that stuff, right? And so I think the poise is just a result of putting in that effort and that decision to commit to something greater than yourself.
You know, I just did a little quick search on what poise is. Graceful and elegant bearing in a person, composure and dignity, matter, balance, equilibrium, being ready to do something. Um, yeah, I think that. Oh, shut up, Siri. All right, next on the list is confidence. And the word confidence is another one that has.
I think we froze, Joe. At least on my end, you're frozen. I don't know if it's still recording.
One time I asked another one of my mentors, a guy named Alan Weiss, I said, what's the difference between confidence and arrogance? And he said, confidence is the honest to God belief that I can serve you, or I have the honest to God belief that I can do this, or I can make your life better. And arrogance is the honest to God belief that I can learn nothing from you. Okay. Um, and there's so many aspects to confidence. I just want to hear what comes up for you, because confidence, really, there's different ways of defining it. There's different meanings, but how does confidence, how do we gain confidence? How does it apply to flow state? And how does it apply to being successful in business?
Well, this quote comes up. It was first shared to me by Yadavir Singh. He's like a dating coach here in India. And he told me this quote, and I'll never forget it. He said, "A confident man is a dead man." And I was like, what? What do you mean? Right? I got very confused. But he was saying he's a dead man because he's relying on his past confidence and trying to, like, you know, take it from the past and bring it to the now, in a sense, rather than feeling aliveness, which is a great state of core confidence that comes internally, and you feel it in the moment and you share in that moment. So I really like that idea of, you know, not resting on your laurels, or not, you know, relying on all these accolades and trophies, but rather pulling in that core confidence in the present moment, which is not this insecurity or this arrogance, which is like these two extremes, but it's like a strong core sense of understanding your strengths.
I like that. You know, in business, you know, we're in the business is really the thing of, I will solve your problems and you will pay me. And, you know, we talk to a new person, they've never bought from us before. It's like, okay, well, I'm an expert at this, this, and this. What's one thing you need help with this? And they explain the thing they need help with. And confidence is the ability to look somebody in the eye and say, I can help you with that. Like there's no doubts, there's certainty. Like I'm certain, I am confident I can help you with that. And if you don't have that confidence, if you can't look somebody in the eye and say, I can solve your problem, you're probably not going to do much business. You're not going to close many sales, and you're not going to have a lot of, you're not going to get people buying from you and create those happy customers and success stories. So it's so critical, I think, that in business that we have the confidence. We need to master our craft. And when we master our craft, and stay in our lane. This is what I'm good at, and I can help you with those problems. We have that confidence. I think our business is going to be a lot more solid. I know I'm a business mentor. I'm a business coach, and I help people with their marketing and their sales and their leadership and their team. But I know I can help people with a lot of things in their business. And when somebody says I'm having problem recruiting people and keeping people, I can look them in the eye. It's like, I have many ways I can help you with that. Would you like my help? And if they would, then it's like, great, here's my offer, and here's how much it'll cost. And if I have the confidence and certainty, and I can communicate with confidence and certainty that I can help you, guess what? In many ways, the process of selling is that transference of confidence and certainty to the buyer.
Exactly, Joe. And my friend Jose says it's that I got you energy, right? And so basically, like if you're at a dinner table, right, and somebody's talking about your niche or your craft, right, you're gonna feel this, oh man, I got this guy, like he's a younger version of me, and you have this confidence, this certainty within, like I've been there. And I think that translates through how you speak, how you do things. It's a state of mind. But people want to keep all of these, extra steps in the way of confidence. Like if I do this, then I'll be confident. But you can access that now through actually, bringing it through it and thinking from what if you actually were that confident person. And I think, yeah, that's one tip for the listeners.
I remember talking to this guy in the dating community. His name is Johnny So Porno. And one of the things he said is like, some words that'll make a woman melt is relax, I've got this. Those 4 words, relax, I've got this. And having that confidence, that will make a woman melt because she knows she's in safe hands. She's with a man who can provide that safety and comfort and that container where she can soften into her femininity. So relax, I've got this is a reflection of confidence and communicating it in a way that creates comfort in her. All right, the next one on the pyramid here is reliability. It creates respect. Reliability creates respect. If I do what I say, what I'm going to do, and say what you mean what you say, don't say it mean, commitment is doing what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do. Integrity is doing it every single time, and there is no such thing as partial integrity. Either have it or you don't. But if you make a promise and keep it, and you make a promise and you keep it, and you make a promise and you keep it, people start to go, wow, Joe is reliable, or Sumedh is reliable. And people respect, like, I'm going to deliver this thing on Tuesday at 9 a.m. And then boom, it shows up in the email timestamped, 8:59 or 9 a.m. It's like, wow. I had a buddy. It's like, I still have him. He's in my life still. But I could calibrate, if he said, I'm going to be there at 8:57, he would show up at 8:50. I could calibrate my watch to him. He was that reliable. Okay. And otherwise, being unreliable, I think it works so against us. And there's this thing like island time or California time where, it's I come in 5 minutes late, it might be the culture, but it doesn't really help you build that reputation for reliability. But if we do develop that reputation for reliability, we create respect around us, and people are like, wow, I can count on Sumedh because he's reliable.
Yeah, it's interesting how
on reliability.
Yeah, it's really interesting, Joe, how confidence is on the same kind of lane as as reliability, right? So both of them on the same kind of pyramid line, because yeah, I'm thinking about this confidence competence loop, right? The more confident you are, the more competent you are, and the more and it keeps growing. It's like this feedback loop. And so I think reliability definitely plays into that, where, you know, if you feel confident, if you are reliable, and if you have poise and this resourcefulness, it's like you are going to be able to be that person of authority and actually have people, you know, rely on you, like depend on you, right? Like, oh yeah, I know him. I trust that he's going to be here, you know. And if you have people supporting you like this, think about, you know, the ripple effect that it's causing for those people, right? Because you're giving them permission to be more reliable too. So yeah, it's a great thing.
You know what's coming up for me on all four things on this level? It's like being the rock. It's being the calm in the middle of the storm. You
Yeah,
know,
I just got this image actually. We were talking about this in we were doing this thing called matches into dates. And one of the metaphors, you know, that we described was you have to be like the bottom of an ocean, right? And she's the ocean and you just have to hold her in place, right? And it's just such a beautiful imagery of just like the deep bottom of the ocean. And yeah, you have to be that rock for sure. You have to be that rock, that stoic rock.
all right, we have finished 1, 2, 3, 4, level 4. Time to kick it up to the next level. 2 more levels to go. And so this level only has 3 things, but the first one is fight, determined effort, you know, that go into battle. If we're not willing to put the hard work in, if we're not willing to go to battle, there's this saying that, Zig Ziglar used to say, timid salespeople have skinny kids, and we can't be timid in the game of business. We need to get out. We need to put on our battle armor. We got to put on our nice shirt, maybe our tie, but we need to put on our uniform. We need to put on our armor. We need to go out there and put the effort in. It's more than effort, though. It's about grit. It's about tenacity. It's about, picking up a little bit of battle scars and, maybe bleeding a little bit, and fighting the good fight. Because if we know, I like what, John Wooden said, is success is this peace of mind attained through self-satisfaction. We did the best effort to do the best we could. And if you're not willing to put up the fight, you're not putting in that best effort, And so best effort karate sensei used to say, karate is like two tigers come together and they fight. One dies and one gets mauled and walks away. We don't want to be the one that dies. We want to, nobody wins because the one's going to die, the other gets mauled. But it's through that fight and through the willingness to get mauled. It's, there's this idea in karate, the willingness to take the cut to get the kill. But you're not going to get the cut or the kill if you're not willing to go to battle. And so now I think this could be balanced out. Do you treat your business like a battleground or a playground? I think we need to have fun in the process of putting up the fight. But without the determined effort, without this effort, if you're not in it to win it, you might as well go home and fluff up a pillow and take a nap, because you might have a good night's sleep, but you're not going to do very well in business. What does fight and flow have to do with each other, and how do we connect that to success in business?
Yeah, like you said, Joe, it's that grit, that tenacity, that ferocity, that ability to just, wake up in the morning and have that drive. I think when we're fighting for something, it means we truly believe in it. And I think that, a lot of people, they don't speak with their enemy in mind. What I mean by this is, as a business owner, you're fighting against something, whether it's your own bad habits, whether it's, some competitors. It might be just your internal world as well that you're fighting with. The most dangerous neighborhood, as Mike Tyson would say, the internal world is the most dangerous neighborhood. And so, having that sense of, okay, eye of the tiger, it's the thrill of the fight, that ability to show up and get ready to get your hands dirty, because, there is this edge that you can have when you can actually lean into your fears rather than, keep running away from things and avoiding things, because the opposite of fight would be flight, right? And this avoidance does not create any sense of flow. It's only when you lean into that edge and you stay there, that you can actually have that risk reward and thing going, right?
I like that. All right, next on the pyramid, we're getting near the end here, but competitive greatness. Be at your best when your best is needed. Enjoyment of a difficult challenge. Enjoyment of a difficult challenge. How many people bitch and whine and complain in the presence of difficulty? You know, I remember I was at a karate training one time, and a guy named Bill Edwards was training the class. He's like a 3rd degree black belt at the time. It's probably a 4th degree now. But you know, he talked about champions, you know, these competitive champions. And he talked about, you know, one of the common threads in all of these champions is like when Muhammad Ali hits the knockout blow, he's got a slight smile in his face. Or when the runner is running is running the race and he's crossing the finish line, he's got that smile on his face. Something about joy in the victory. I remember the Wide World of Sports, this TV show many years ago. Is like the something of, is the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat, you know, and there's a thrill in victory. And you know, we're not just in this to compete, but to be great at competing and enjoy competing. And you know, it's so much better when you wake up every day. You know, so many people are like waking up every day saying, I have to go to work. I don't want to go to work. I talked to one guy, he said, my roommate used to cry every day in the shower because like, I don't want to go to work today. It's like, that is not competitive greatness. It's like, you wake up, it's like, wow, another day. I look forward to my day. It's like, I'm looking forward to the day. It's like, I get to do great things with great clients. I get to use my superpowers. I get to make a big difference. I get to have an impact. I get to change lives. I get to help my clients create superpowers themselves. And wow, I even make money doing this, and I'm having fun making money versus I got to go to work. But, you know, work is work, you know, it's one of the necessary things we need to do in our life, but it doesn't have to be a labor of pain. It could be a labor of love. And I think if we can jump in and do it with a smile and have a little bit of joy in the work, you know, our vocation can be, when your vocation it becomes recreation, wow, you're just living on a whole other plane. It's like you're transcending the world and competing from this great place. Like nobody can touch you when you wake up every day saying, I love what I do and I bliss out on my work. Like, who can compete with that?
Right. Absolutely, Joe. And, you know, I'm reminded of the story of Bruce Lee, because he actually had this mindset that he saw competition as self-improvement, because he would fight all these great martial artists from different schools, you know, the top of the top, just to learn. And even if he was defeated, he would learn something and apply it into his own technique. So that's that great example of that competitive greatness where, you know, he's not worried about whether he's winning or losing. He's worried about, you know, the lessons and the self-improvement aspect of competition, where that is that greatness, that is that glory to improve another day, to wake up and put a little bit of compound interest into your gratitude bank account and, like, you know, wake up and just, you know, crush the day. Like you said, Joe. Awesome.
All right, moving right along, we're at integrity, and John wouldn't. We talked a little bit about integrity under another topic, but purity of intention. You know, integrity. You know, it's not only do I keep my word, I do it because I intend to do the right thing. You know, there's a couple different. I took a class in Landmark Forum. It was a 10-week, 10-session, like 4 hours per night, like over 12 weeks. We met 10 times for 4 hours a night. It was all about integrity. And there's one of the definitions of integrity is workability. So if you think about like a tire that's got spokes, if you lose a spoke, the tire will still operate. If you lose another spoke, but you know, you get to a point where it doesn't have integrity. It doesn't work anymore. It doesn't have that workability. And, you know, so there's this I have this pure intention to function as a team. I have this pure intention to serve my clients and make their life better. I have this pure intention to treat my employees or my team or even my subcontractors. I have good intention to make sure they win. I have a pure intention when I work with vendors and other stakeholders that everybody wins. Like, I'm not here to I win, you lose. That doesn't work at all. And so I just think another way to look at integrity, to be successful, to means having workability in everything you do. What do you got to say about integrity?
Yeah, integrity is doing the right thing even when nobody's watching, and just that ability to be integrated as well. I think a lot of us, we lead very fragmented lives, but when we can get all of the different characters inside of ourselves and be like, hey, yeah, I am the rebel and I'm also the obedient, worker at the same time, and they can be friends with each other. They don't need to fight in my internal world. And when you can come to that alignment from within, that's when you get that integrity, that purity of intention, where it's like all the different characters in your inner world, it's like, that's all me at the end of the day, right? I can be mean one day, I can be kind the other day, but it's still all me. And I think that's the power of integrity. It's like this glue that brings everything together.
Man, we're doing great on, we're covering a lot today. This is a great conversation. I'm really enjoying it. I think you are too. Now we're getting to the next level, the final level. We're hitting the climax, the peak.
The crescendo.
We got two more things, the crescendo. We got two more things to talk about. The last, the first of these two is faith through prayer. Two things come up for me. I picked up this saying a long time ago: faith that fizzles before the finish was faulty from the first. Faith that fizzles before the finish was faulty from the first. And so there is a purity of faith, but there's a scripture, it's in the book of Luke in the New Testament, chapter 22, verse 44. Christ is in the garden and he's in agony. He's bleeding through every pore. Just bleeding through one pore is supposed to be extremely painful. And he was bleeding through every pore because he was taking on the sins of all humanity, past, present, and future. And I love this scripture because it's a lesson in prayer from Jesus Christ himself. And so he's in this agony, and the scripture says, and in being in agony, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was as if great drops of blood falling down to the ground. And the lesson here is the more he was in agony, the more he prayed earnestly. Like, he put feeling into his prayer. So, I think one of the things I used to do is I used to call it praying. It's like, oh, dear God, make these things happen. And there was no emotion into it. And I realized my prayers were more impactful and more powerful when I had that earnest emotion connected to it. And then the last thing I have to say about prayer is that I believe that God rearranges the universe to answer prayers. Okay, God rearranges the universe to answer prayers. So if you're praying for something to happen, like, don't be surprised if it takes a while. Like, rearranging the universe is kind of a big deal. Okay, so don't faith is putting your emotion in and praying to God and having that emotion, and then also being patient. Prayer is talking to God, and meditation is listening for the answers. And I just know, I'm just going to say, I know it's true that when we put more emotions into our prayer, it changes the universe, God receives it, and it changes us. When we pray with a stronger emotion and more sincerity, something, we get transformed through our prayers. And I think it's just I think there's a reason it's at the top of this pyramid. It's because it's that important. What do you got to say about faith and flow and success?
Yeah, I used to read this comic book when I was a really young child. It's called The Phantom, the Ghost Who Walks. And basically, he had this saying that he was like, I have the strength of 10 tigers. And then he said, faith is the origin of all true power. You know, he used to say that. And I think that's really powerful because I think that these two top ones at the top of the pyramid, faith and patience, actually are there for good reason, right? Because one is a divine value, like a higher value, and another one is a survival value. So both of them is like this, you know, the instinct with the mechanical side of like, you know, meeting that yin and yang at the top of like having this faith and patience together is just like this amazing dance. So yeah, I think that's really powerful. And you know, for the artist, his prayer is through creation. For the musician, his prayer is in the recording studio. So you know, people channel God through different things, and I think that that's when you are tapping into the flow, when you can let go of that, you know, that that self-preservation mechanism of the ego and just shut that off and then allow whatever needs to come through to come through. I think that's ultimately very powerful.
It's funny, you know, these two are very connected. You know, when I see patience, and that's the final attribute of success. Patience is good things take time. You know, when you know, God rearranges the universe to answer prayer. Well, it takes time. You know, it takes time to rearrange the universe. And I heard this kind of this Zen saying that infinite patience creates instant results. And there is this thing, you know, God, the patience prayer, you know, I don't know if you ever heard the patience prayer. It's like, God, give me patience and give it to me now.
I like
Which is a
that.
very impatient place to come from, but infinite
Yeah.
patience creates instant results.
Mm.
And so if we want to, you know, get results faster, if we're stressing about it, it just seems like it takes an eternity. And so, you know, success is this peace of mind attained through, you know, the self-satisfaction of knowing that we made the best effort. And so peace and patience are really connected. And if we're impatient, we lose our peace. If we don't have faith, we lose our peace. And so I think that's what the top of the pyramid is about, is really about this peace. You know, what comes up for you around patience, and then we'll wrap this thing up.
Awesome, Joe. Yeah, I've been really thinking about this idea of that long-term game, right? That long-term gratification. So many of us are still stuck in that magic pill mentality. A lot of us, you know, millennials and people like this, that we're just completely trapped in that world. So I think one piece of advice is to just having that consistency and that patience is so important to just relax, to slow down, to see the bigger picture, to zoom out of your life and imagine it's not just about you in that one moment. There's many people around you. There's someone who spilled coffee next to you. You know, there's another woman screaming in the corner there. Like there's so many things happening at once, and you just have to ride it out and allow yourself to have this patience. And I think patience is this ability to change time, because we are actually allowing ourselves to be conscious of the time that we're spending now. When we have patience, we're consciously slowing down our psychological time through patience, and now it becomes this interface where we can not react so much to these different things that are happening. We're not reactionary, but we're actually taking our time to evolve. And I hope that this podcast has helped you guys evolve.
You know, so I want to just wrap up. I want us to kind of do a last minute summary. You know, one of the things that comes up, what comes up for you is we talked about 25 different, you know, success principles. And you know what, you know, social media, Facebook, all this, people are asking like, what's one secret to being successful? And it's like, it's not just one thing, you know. If you have skill, but you don't have confidence, if you have competitive greatness, but you don't have initiative, like all of these pieces matter. And so what really comes up for me is, you know, there's a reason why John Wooden was one of the winningest coaches in all basketball history, is because he didn't take this monodimensional approach to success. I have a saying that I had a download from the universe one day that monodimensional solutions to multidimensional problems is the foundation of foolishness. And so what I really get, and it's so awesome that we took the time today to break down the John Wooden Pyramid of Success to it's by encompassing these 25 principles. It doesn't take one thing to be successful. Here's 25 things it takes to be successful. And if you work on all 25 of these things, I think your chances of succeeding go way, way up. And there's a much greater opportunity for you to succeed. And so this is a comprehensive approach to success. And for the people that are listening to this podcast or watching the YouTube video, take time to download the John Wooden Pyramid of Success. Just Google John Wooden Pyramid of Success. You'll find it very easily. But I think you will, print it out, put it up on your wall, use it as something that you can always look at. That, if you're having a struggle in your life, you can look at what am I missing on this pyramid, because it'll take you from the struggle back to the success. Any final thoughts from you, Sumedh? And then you can go ahead and give closing comments as well. But any final comments or insights about going through this whole process today?
Yeah, I think this was a very smart man. I think that he's really creating an amazing philosophy around winning. And if people can really truly embody this pyramid and be able to show up with the state of mind that incorporates all 24 of these great strengths, these great values, I think that they have a high likelihood of succeeding in their lives. And, that self-satisfaction, that self-sufficiency, that feeling like, okay, I don't need to do this, but I feel like it's a reward in itself. It's autotelic, it's that flow state. So it's that intrinsic reward of like, man, I'm so glad that I'm a successful character now, with all these traits, like this battery pack, expansion pack in this video game. So thank you guys so much for listening. That's all I have to say to wrap up. Have an incredible day. May the flow be with you guys.
Peace.